Does AdWords affect your SEO? This is something I get asked all the time. If you create an AdWords account and of course you're buying traffic from Google, does it give you any benefit at all in the organic listing? So in other words, will you have higher rankings in Google if you're spending money with them and buying AdWords traffic? So the official word from Google in roundabout ways is no. It doesn't affect your SEO. You don't need to spend money with Google and advertise with AdWords in order to get higher rankings. It's not part of the SEO formula. And most experts agree that it doesn't. So AdWords itself doesn't affect SEO and it's not a requirement. However, I predict that if it doesn't today, it will eventually. And I'm not sold, or completely sold at least, that it doesn't affect it right now. The reason is Google is collecting all this data on us. They're collecting data on our Google Analytics accounts. They're collecting data on our search engine optimized pages and visits and bounce rates and other things that we've been talking about in this brand new generation of relevance and engagement, and how that has value to not only their page views and user activity, but the ad money they make from it. Now, because of all this, and because they're collecting this big data, as they call it, they have our data for our AdWords accounts. They have the URLs that are being advertised. They can see the quality scores. They can see the relevancy. They can see the bounce rates. They can see conversion rate data, goal data, tracking data. They have all that. So it's only logical that if they're not using it already, and I really believe they are, that they can look at the data and they can compare it to search engine indexed pages and score them with part of their algorithm, whether they are more relevant or not and deserve a higher ranking. Let's think about this. They have all this scoring built into AdWords to be able to indicate if a landing page and a domain name and the website, that all that stuff revolves around, if it's relevant and if it creates a positive user experience through high click-through rates, low bounce rates, and of course, conversion rates, to be some sort of a vote, so to speak, as something that benefited users that were searching for a keyword phrase. So it makes sense that in the organic listings for their index and how they rank pages, they want to serve and rank in an order pages that are what users are looking for. That's what drives the whole reason for people to use Google. So you can't tell me that Google isn't using this incredibly accurate data from the Google AdWords system that shows what users actually want based on a keyword level for millions and millions of keywords linking to millions and millions of advertised pages, that it doesn't affect SEO, or they can't use it at least in order to influence the quality of the rankings that they do in their normal search engine. So if they're not doing it today, they will eventually, because it's a gold mine of data that shows what pages are actually relevant, which is what they're trying to do with their search engine to make users happy. So why this is important is it just means you need to do everything properly with AdWords. You should be using AdWords if you can generate profitable traffic. You should be using it even if you can't generate profitable traffic, at least initially, to do the conversion hunting and find the keywords that convert, so we can at least try to move on to SEO and content marketing efforts, which we're going to cover later in this course, in order to get you traffic that way if you're not able to turn a profit with AdWords. Hopefully we're going to be able to do both for you, AdWords and SEO efforts with content marketing. But you want to be using AdWords, hopefully, and making it profitable and making it work for your business. One, of course, to get more traffic and get more sales and generate more income in your business. But two, because I do believe it will be tied to other areas of marketing, such as SEO for traffic generation and how they're going to rank pages and get signals. See, that's what it's all about. Google is getting these little signals from different places. Votes on Facebook pages. They're monitoring different social media things for hashtags and for usage. They're looking at all kinds of, again, bounce rates, page load times, all these things. And they're improving their own efforts in their own business based on it, so it makes sense. So I do think it's connected, even though today it's not necessarily required that you run AdWords campaigns and that you advertise with them to get higher rankings. But I do think in some ancillary way it affects your rankings, or will, in a very short period of time. So it only benefits you to use and master AdWords. However, your landing pages do. Your landing pages will get indexed, and Google will rank them and or rank your other pages based on them. It's part of their algorithm. So if your landing pages are linked from within your site, the landing pages you're going to use for your Google AdWords campaigns, they become indexed by Google and they get ranked. And all pages now kind of work together on a site. So this is a bad thing because they can contain duplicate content. I'm going to teach you to create a bunch of separate landing pages for different campaigns so they're more tightly controlled to the relevancy of the ad campaign itself. So landing pages contain keywords that are used in the ads and that are targeted, that we're trying to run Google AdWords campaigns for on that specific keyword level. So in order to do that, we got to have a bunch of different landing pages. Well, if we have kind of the same goal, let's say to build an opt-in list and we're driving traffic there, we're going to want to have a whole bunch of different versions of that landing page that builds the opt-in list, but they'll be slightly different because they're going to be targeting different keywords. So we may need to put the keyword in the headline and a few other places in order to make it the most relevant and get the highest results. Well, if we do that, we're going to have a lot of duplicate content because there's going to be a lot on those pages that will stay the same for all the different keywords and things that we find that work in our tests. We'll want to repeat them, and that's duplicate content. That can actually hurt the rankings of our other pages in Google. So because our landing pages are going to be specifically created to maximize results from ad campaigns, we don't need Google to index them. We don't want to run the risk of duplicate content. Now, there are exceptions to this. If you're running, and we're going to talk about goals and different types of campaigns for AdWords in this module, if you're running a campaign to drive click traffic from keywords to content pages, just like you can do with the content syndication and distribution networks that we've already talked about, like Taboola and Outbrain and those things, that can end up creating links and shares for you that can help search engine rankings. If you're going to run a campaign like that, where you're going to buy keywords and buy the traffic through AdWords to get people to come to a content page, like a blog post, for example, if you have that converts really well and serves another purpose in your business, whether it's building opt-ins or gets people on a webinar or anything else, then it's different. If that blog post is something you're going to be promoting and it's already an existing page, well, there's no reason to de-index that. We actually want that index already indexed. And so that's an exception. But for most of these landing pages that we're going to create a lot of similar duplications of, we don't want them in Google's index, and we don't want them considered when it ranks our other pages, which they will be. So you need to no index these landing pages where you don't have a purpose for promoting content on that page to try to get links and stuff like I just talked about. If you're just trying to get conversions or have other goals, you definitely want to no index it. So I suggest you add the no index meta tag to the HTML of your landing pages. And in the resources section for this module, I'll link to a detailed description of what Google says about no index tags, and it tells you how you actually do it and what it will do. But basically it's so Google won't crawl and add those pages they add the no index meta tag to, and it won't add them into the search engine results. So they won't be found in the search engines. And sometimes that's good, because if you have a landing page that serves a specific purpose for an ad campaign but doesn't make sense if someone goes there directly from a Google search without seeing the ad and maybe being qualified or some other part of your process, then you don't want people to go there directly, because for a number of reasons. One, it may ruin the potential for that visitor when you could have brought them in another way. But two, it can mess up your data and convolute your data for your ad campaigns if you're adding conversions on that landing page that you're isolating and using for something else. So there are a number of ways that it can be a negative. So you'll want to add the no index meta tags so they're not crawled and not added to the search results, but also so Google won't take these many different landing pages into account when it considers duplicate content, which is now a big part of their algorithm, which in the Panda update and some of these other recent updates from Google actually started crushing sites and crushing rankings that had duplicate content. In other words, had a lot of pages that had a bunch of similar content throughout the pages. It's just Google sees it as spam, and it's not a good thing. So you'll want to go and add the no index meta tag to all your landing pages. And of course, if you're not technical and you know how to do that, then just find someone who can do it for you. And a bunch of people can do that very inexpensively.